Are you sick and tired of lame-ass social media? Are you tired of turning on the TV and being bored to tears? Well, never fear. Roundtable Philosophy is here to save the day, bringing you new and interesting podcasts each and every week. Let's get the party started. All right, so how do you guys feel about the current event that's going on right now?
Well, let's see. From a fraternity brother standpoint, you have to know when and where not to do something. And especially in today's world, technology is all around us. Whether it be inside of a fraternity room, a charter bus, like these dumbasses thought so, or even in public at a food court. I mean, it's just an example, man. Hell, Jameis Winston, who was a Heisman Trophy winner last year, who I personally don't think that highly of, because he's a complete failure as far as personal choices go. He has done things like that his entire career at Florida State, where he just makes stupid choices. Hell, he went to Publix and walked out of the building with crab claw or lobsters and said, "Oh, I forgot to pay." In today's world, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, or any other type of heritage. What might have been okay 40 years ago is okay now.
Well, it's different 40 years ago because you could easily get away with it then.
Exactly. And the fact is, these aren't those times, though. Hell, technology is not even close to what it was.
But the technology doesn't matter.
I wouldn't say you wouldn't get away with it because of technology. I'd say you wouldn't get away with it because of people's attitudes towards minorities back then. It's very different than it is now.
We know that skin color means roughly nothing.
It's a check on a form because you have to identify yourself to be put into a bucket. You can't just be a person. You have to be something. They have to categorize you to be able to do their demographics and whatnot.
Yeah, I see that changing in the future at some point.
So we're going to be like South Park and we're all just going to meld together and make one universal race?
No, that might be in our future reproducing. That might happen.
I think it's interesting considering that this happened in Auburn 14 years ago. It was two fraternities that did something. So one of them paints their face, wears the shirt of a black fraternity. They're shut down, disband, no longer have a chapter. There was another fraternity, same time frame. The frat guys dress up as Klan members. One guy paints his face.
Hold up one sec. Can you back to that first part? Because I don't think I heard that correctly.
There were two fraternities. One did blackface and the other did KKK.
So the one that did KKK didn't get disbanded, was not removed from the campus. Instead, some of them were punished pretty extensively, but for the most part, their chapter remains at the university.
People who did blackface and wore the other shirts were all expelled, I believe.
Well, I mean, from the article that I read, there were two different fraternities. The one that did just blackface, they were completely removed from the campus. The one that did KKK...
There might have been a separate one.
There were two. There were two fraternities. The one that did the KKK did not get removed. But anyway, like I was saying, out in Oklahoma, you have the whole chapter wiped out within minutes of the video going to the president and him finding out about it. And I thought that, why is it that there was such swift decision-making outside the Southeast? How is it that guys on a bus chanting the N-word outweighed people dressing up as Klan members and pretending to lynch people? I feel like that's far more offensive than some people chanting the N-word on the bus. I mean, it's all offensive. We shouldn't be doing it, but people are doing it anyway. But the point is, how is it that punishment outside the Southeast was far more extensive and quick than here? I don't know if it's because it's been 14 years and maybe they saw what Auburn did and like, oh, well, they took their time and they didn't act accordingly and didn't handle things expeditiously. Now we don't want to follow suit.
You can't discount that. I don't know how much of a factor it is. You can't discount the fact that time has passed and precedent has been set for the reaction to this to essentially be immediate disbandment. Saw the same thing post Ferguson. It took them a long time to figure out what was going on in Ferguson with the police department, but then anytime a similar story surfaced in other cities in the following week, it was dealt with very swiftly and very publicly.
Now, you got to remember one thing, too. 14 years ago, we didn't have cell phones that could record video and post it immediately on YouTube. That just wasn't around at that time. Technology kind of plays into that effect of it's immediately. I mean, as soon as somebody posts it, everybody sees it. You got to count that into effect of why it took so long 14 years ago in Auburn for them to do something about it, because it was word of mouth. Like somebody told somebody else, they told somebody else, and it went down the line. Then they had to investigate and make sure it was true, and then proceed to the judgment or to the punishment, however you want to put it. Now, the only thing that's got me kind of questioning the president of the university is, does he truly believe what they did is morally wrong, or is he just doing it because it's politically correct?
Well, I personally think he did it because it's a money thing. If you think about like the athletics and how much they bring to the school.
That's a politically correct reason. That's for politics. It's because if he didn't do anything, he didn't dismiss or disband the fraternity, then it's going to make the university look bad. Their backers are going to pull their money. It's going to discredit the college itself. So they're going to lose maybe not a lot of funding, not enough to really hurt them, but it's just going to be a black mark on their record. He's getting up there making it sound like, oh, it's morally wrong, when he's pretty much lying to it. He's only doing it just to save face, basically.
Well, Nate, I'm sorry, but you gotta look at something else that's pretty impactful as far as this discussion goes. Finance. Out of curiosity, how many players on their basketball team is black? Football team?
95%.
And just out of curiosity, how many millions of dollars do you think they bring in every year because of their football team?
Probably hundreds of millions.
Let's say one fraternity versus hundreds of millions of dollars based off per annual yield for football season. It's a pretty obvious pick which one's going to win out in that discussion, sir. That's just basic finance law.
So what were to happen if you took an athletic team, could be any, let's say that a group of guys on the football team did the same thing on a charter bus? Would they get rid of the football team, or would they cut out the bad apples? How would they handle that?
Nah, hell, they only get rid of the bad apples, dude. There's no way they cut the football team. We have to commit mass murder to get something like that to happen. Be straightly honest about that, dude. Hell,
it's the same thing as that South Park episode where they have the manatees and the idea balls, and they're trying to shut down Family Guy, and Kyle says it's either all okay or it's not okay. You can't straddle the fence and pick and choose what's okay and what's not okay. The bottom line is the school has diversity. They have students from all over the world that come there. If you have people that are abusing their freedom of speech to be bigots, doesn't sit well and give a very good reputation for the school, and publicly it makes them look ignorant. They can't have that. Anytime anybody does something like that, they're going to have to step in. So whether it's athletics or not, we all know what's going to happen when it comes to athletics, but the bottom line is you can't morally say, oh, well, because the football team brings in money and they were to do something just as offensive as the fraternity, that we should just skate over it and let them slide because they're athletes.
I mean, they could have potentially said something like that before this, but now that they have disbanded the university within a day, I believe it was, they've now set the precedent. So if their football team did something like this, or something similar, they would have to react in kind, or it would be seen as some form of corruption.
Now, here's one thing that kind of pisses me off. You get a white guy that says the N-word out in public. Everybody's going to look down on him because he's white. You get a group of black guys together, and they're sitting there calling each other the same word back and forth. It's okay, right? You go to university. Sit there and you hear them say it to each other, but then yet if the white guys are saying it, well, it's bigotry and it's wrong, and you're expelled. Would they do that to the black guy? No. Why is it okay for them? Granted, they're black, but why is it okay for them to say that word, but then yet they get all pissy when we say it?
But I don't think it's so much the word as the intention and the context.
Actually, I have to disagree on that part for one main reason, though. To them, it's not the same, though. To them, unless you pretty much have the same background they do, so to speak, which would be to be an African American, if we were saying that word enough, though, they get pretty
interrupt you very quickly.
You make a good point.
You're not African American unless you immigrated from Africa. We're not talking about ethnicity. We're talking about color.
I know that, dude. I'm just saying in general.
They gave us the term, and we just been going with it for all these hundreds of years. So,
how do you feel about that, Vic?
Well, I never said the word. Even if I speak in Spanish, I usually don't say the word either.
So there's a Spanish word for the N-word. Is a Spanish N-word?
First off, man, like, the N-word in Spanish is simply black. That's what it means in Spanish. It's Negro. That is black in Spanish.
Okay, so there's not an equivalent, I'm just going to say this, there's not an equivalent of the word nigger in Spanish.
Or any other language.
All I'm saying is the Negro itself, because they're usually taken off of Portuguese and Spanish traders who actually enslaved them in the first place and then trade them off to the Americans.
Yeah, because a Negro is a black male.
But a Negro was mostly used because males ruled society. Supposedly inferior races or whatnot, though. That was the mindset in those times.
I had a project one time where we had to pick a book. There was a small book about Pele, the soccer player, right? In the book, it referred to him as Negro multiple times. So when I wrote my report and I had to read it to the class, whenever I would say Negro, my teacher would get mad, and she's like, no, it's African American. I'm like, well, the book says Negro, and I have to cite my source. I mean, if you want me to call him African American, black, whatever, I'll do it. But, you know, she was getting upset by the fact that the book, which was in the school library, you know, we're using the word Negro. But what I was trying to say earlier was the biggest farce about it, I think, is Waka Flocka Flame canceling his concert that he was going to have at OU because of racism. Rappers oftentimes use the N-word, whether you want to call somebody nigger or nigga, doesn't matter. You're still taking a derivative of the word and using it to refer to somebody in a negative way. And I pushed it into Google just to see how many songs. There's all kinds of songs that he collaborates with and that are his own songs. You're making money from it, so it's okay. But because these guys are on a bus, they're singing a song, and now you're going to say that's racist. Same words that he uses. Mind you, he's using the slang version. That's racist, and he refuses to come perform at a school where there are racist people. If you look at the article that I shared and you look at the post that he said, when I first started out, it was just in hood spots, and there were hood rats and basically people from the ghetto, and then I went to a few other places, and now it's blacks, whites, browns, everybody's partying and having a good time. Well, how can everybody be partying and having a good time if you're referring to people in a negative way?
I'll say, in the interest of completeness, we have no evidence that it was simply the fact they were using the word nigger that he had a problem with. Remember, the rest of that song, that they would rather lynch a person than have them join SAE. So it's not just simply the word. There's an explicit context here of violence, and almost everyone on this bus is chanting it. There's at least one person that we know is uncomfortable, therefore they're taking a video.
Okay, well, first off, I want to make a small connotation into this little discussion part, though. There's an article that came up on Yahoo earlier, I think it was Yahoo at least, where it shows where its roots came from. You do realize that SAE was originally founded at Alabama, do you not?
I did not know that.
I posted that on Facebook today.
Yeah, actually,
It's also the
yes.
largest fraternity in America, what I've seen.
Yes, but the thing is, its roots are from Alabama, though, and it actually had a very, very large early history of trying to keep the entire chapters in the southeast area due to our culture for our impending other races, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm making this small connotation, though. I mean, that history is there, mainly one where it started out at Alabama, which was a completely racist school until about 1960-something or whatnot. Before that, though, hell, if you were a colored person, no matter what creed you were, that place would have been hell for you to go anywhere near, just because it was a large gathering of mainly well-to-do or white people that could afford to go there for school, and they had no bias whatsoever about giving you a hard time or much less assaulting you or killing you because you were black or of some other ethnicity besides white. Like, that type of founding and all that, that's from the very beginning, dude. You have to actually do a complete overhaul of that entire fraternity system, so to speak.
And that might explain why the song was created. That does not explain why they're chanting it on a bus in 2015.
I mean, it might be tradition, so to speak, but there are things that might be tradition back then for us that we know sure as hell we cannot do today and be okay with doing it.
Yeah, marrying your rapist was tradition in the Old Testament. We don't do that anymore.
I think some people still do, but the majority does not. Since we're on the topic...
You can't account for Stockholm Syndrome.
True. So one of the other points in this topic that I wanted to touch on was Paula Deen's past cost her an empire. I'm not 100% familiar with the story, but the context I understood it is...
It really did. She is still filthy rich.
Right, exactly. Well, the Food Network got rid of her, and I'm sure, like, Home Shopping Network, but she's still doing all right. Anyway, it's my understanding that several years ago, by several, was like 20, 30, 40 years ago. She was in a bank and some black man, according to her, put a gun in her face. So she feels the need to drop the N-bomb. That's long before anything could be recorded and used against her. Later on down the road, she apparently went to some restaurant that people were dressed up similar to Civil War era servants, and she thought that that was a good idea and wanted to use it in a restaurant for her own benefit or something along those lines. As a result, I think the people retaliated and were saying that that's racist and that she's being a bigot because she's asking that of them. And then somewhere down the line, she's brought to court and interrogated essentially on the stand. You know, if you want to say questions, sure, but she's asked a series of questions and saying, have you ever said this word? I don't know, maybe. Okay, well, do you think you said it at least once? Yes. Well, when did you say it? And you can read the deposition, whatever. What are your thoughts on that? You know, because she's trying to say, I condemn that word. My family condemns that word. We don't use that word. Clearly, at some point, you use the word.
If you can use the word bitch to mean an obstinate woman, and you can use the word nigger to mean specifically what it means, not a black person. To me, it's all in the matter of intent.
Not necessarily, dude. No, it's not. Intent has nothing to do with it these days, man. Hell, if you are a white male who even uses the word anywhere near public, even say, you know, as for joking references, whatnot, though, say I used it with the instead of the at the end, I would get lambasted just for even thinking of having the right to even say it.
No, you wouldn't.
You would cause a controversy, I'll give you that much.
That's why I'm saying, dude, hell, intent has nothing to do with it, man. History, on the other hand, has everything to do with it.
To me, intent has everything to do with it. Now, intent is what you intended
but to the media, to the public as a whole, people who scrutinize and everything?
Intent is the thing that matters in reality. However, the intent is not always well conveyed to all the listeners.
If it's okay to do it sometimes, but not the other, how does that make it right? Okay.
It's all about the message. It's all about the delivery.
Words have multiple meanings.
Delivery or not, the word is the word. And
you're right.
The word has its meaning no matter how you use it, it's still the same meaning. So how do you justify saying it one time and being okay with it, but then later on, you know, even if it is years down the line, being pissed about it?
But I think it's just so deep-rooted and people have been using it for so long and just like, you know, it's just easy.
When have you ever watched two black people talking to one another, using the word nigga or nigger, either one, and mean it as an insult?
No, they just throw it around like slang.
Mean it or not, the word is still the same.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just because it has the same sound, the same spelling, does not mean it always has the same meaning.
If you're calling yourself a nigger, or if a white guy is calling somebody a nigger, it's still the same meaning. I mean, you're doing it, or whether somebody else is doing it, still the definition is still the same.
No, it depends on the definition that they intended.
The thing is, like, you shouldn't be saying it in the first place. You know, if you're going to bitch and whine and cry about injustice and inequality and I'm not treated as an equal, why are you going to sit there and call yourself a nigger or a nigga or anything like that? Like, how can you expect people to respect you when you can't even respect yourself?
I mean, as you know, I mean, I'm white, Scotch-Irish to be exact, so I'm hella white. I mean, I'm like the Dead Sea salty crack out of white. You know, in the Army, man, all my black buddies always called me that. You know, they're like, you know, like, you my nigga. I mean, that's just how it was. That's how we spoke. We did it in Iraq. It wasn't a problem because I'm from Georgia and I'm a country boy. But at the same time, it's just the way it always was. I was never the typical, you know, oh, look at this honky over here, this ghost face. You know, I wasn't that cat. I mean, it's just how we've always referred to each other. Just
so you'd be like an old school term. You'd be a wigger with a W.
Essentially mean a white urban thug style person.
Or a person that just really down with black people.
Just clarify, you said a Dougie means that?
No. We was talking about... Hello?
Hey, mute your mic. There you go.
Hello? Yeah.
Hey, at least it's not a movie theater, okay?
Now you come over Sunday. Your child came over here to spend the night.
You've got to teach him where the mute button is.
I think this is perfect for this segment.
It's been a nice Saturday. And you like to come to get a Sunday. She had to walk home by herself Sunday night.
Man.
I'm trying to watch a movie here.
Cute.
The amount of editing I'm going to have to do because Vic won't turn off his crap.
Well, I told her I'm going to walk her over there.
Just going to let it play out.
She eating a meal.
Is there no way I can, like, hang him up?
Drop him from the call, I think.
Well, I'm trying to avoid dropping myself from the call. I don't know how to drop individual people from a call because we're all in a group.
So y'all got Empire on?
So where were we last time?
Everybody but black people using the N-word and the context, and they just throw it around as slang, and it's just like another word. It's kind of like using the word gay, like that Hillary Duff commercial.
Or use the word home.
You shouldn't say that, because Hillary Duff is the end-all, be-all, and know-it-all of what's appropriate and what's not, right?
Hey, don't talk shit about Lizzie McGuire now.
Lizzie McGuire versus Hannah Montana.
I'd go with Lizzie McGuire every time.
Okay. So, another point I wanted to make in this podcast, since we're going with the theme of, we'll call it discrimination. Ray Rice, that whole issue with essentially laying out his girlfriend in the elevator and then dragging her out like a rag doll. They catch wind of it and they're like, we're going to suspend you for a few games. When the video gets produced, they're like, oh, well, now we're just going to remove you from the NFL altogether. Meanwhile, you have 4 or 5 other guys last year that were busted for marijuana possession and suspended for the season. So you have this domestic violence problem. Those guys aren't getting removed. Ray Rice is removed from the NFL.
You got to think, too, though, he's also a lot more talented than the other ones, so they're going to need him.
But they let him go.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it also means he's more high profile.
That's what I'm saying.
No one cares about doctors who cheat on their wives, but everyone cares about politicians who cheat on their wives.
Okay,
Yeah.
Joey, how many NFL fans do you know that are married?
Most people I know like
Or-
college football.
Okay, put it this way. How many NFL fans do you think are married?
I have no idea.
A very, very large amount, most likely, because it's mainly older people who like NFL. You have to look at it also from the league standpoint. Baltimore Ravens or whatnot, though, I'm willing to bet that most of their players are probably married. I'm willing to bet most of their coaching staff is probably married also, as well as the owner, the management, and such. As are probably the fans. You have to make a statement like that just because, one, if you did not, it would have too much bad news going around that team in general. And no team can afford that amount of bad drama, especially where he did to his wife, the way he did it. You cannot defend that really at all.
Well, she's standing right by him, kind of like Hillary Clinton standing by Bill Clinton. It's okay that you knocked me out. It's okay you got a blowjob from an intern. No big deal. Till death do us part, right? But hell, they weren't even married at that point. They were engaged. So he essentially knocks her out, and she says, oh, I want to marry into this and potentially get knocked out again in the future.
Well, dude, how much money does he make per year usually?
Well, now that he's not employed in the NFL anymore, he makes none.
But how many do you think he has saved up right now in his bank account?
Depending on if he was wise with it.
Surprising percentage of NFL players who broke.
Hell yeah, dude, 90% of them after they get their first fucking check are already in debt because they spend that whole damn check.
I'm getting that iPhone 6.
I'm buying everybody in my
Six
family an
bathroom
iPhone
mansion.
6. Shit, fuck with it, can't take a joke, son.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of ridiculous, that there are other guys, like that one guy that hit his kid with a switch multiple times, and the mother saw it and had him arrested for domestic violence.
Hell, man, they weren't even married.
The guy who was hitting his kid, oh, so it was his ex-wife, right?
No, she was just one of the women that he slept with and knocked up.
That comes back
situation.
to intent and severity.
I intentionally hit you with this tree limb. Now listen to me. Now, if the guy that was hitting his kid was black, would that have stirred up a controversy?
Joey, he was black.
Oh, he was.
It's Adrian fucking Peterson, dude.
Well,
Come
just
on.
because his name is Adrian doesn't mean he's black.
I didn't say that, dude. Hell, anybody who's watched college football or pro in the past 10 years knows who the hell this guy is.
And how much football do I watch, Ryan?
Apparently not enough.
I don't watch
Wait,
any sports.
That's like
I
asking
think we just
what
caught
color-
how ignorant that you were on the subject is really what it is.
That particular part.
I mean,
Yeah.
hell, Joey, like, that's like going up to an Auburn game and asking, who the hell is Cam Newton?
Now, I know who Cam Newton is.
I'm saying that, man, Joey, like, that's one of those things that if you don't know what that name is or who that it goes to, you need to research that some, dude. That's a pretty big deal.
Okay, so we have multiple people who are abusing their kids and their wives, and only the guy that abused his fiance was removed.
Is this only the person who had a video released of him abusing his fiance?
Right, and
His
that,
significant other.
that's a very valid point. The guy, they weren't married, so they're engaged. Because a video was produced, now they have to take action. Why does it take a video being produced for people to take action? Why can't some people just stand up and say, you know what, this is wrong, and we shouldn't stand
Video
for
is
this?
pretty solid evidence, and hearsay is not.
Whenever a woman calls 911 because her husband's beating the hell out of her and there's no video, so oftentimes the woman will be scared into retracting her statement.
So this is the downside of innocent until proven guilty.
Or the guy will just pay the chick off to shut the fuck up.
Heavily publicized because of the video or whatnot, though. Look at it in its context. How many reported as far as abusers or whatnot, though? What's the ratio between races in that little context? Because as far as I know, there have been very little publicized white or Hispanic beatings or whatnot, though.
All right, I'm back. Sorry for that. I had 2 phone calls.
Well, you can just mute your mic, but I guess you don't know how to do that. Because I heard you you cooking up your chicken earlier, and then I had to listen to your phone call, and then listen to you yelling at whoever about Empire.
Why we cooking chicken? I was cooking fish.
Because
Chicken?
Vic likes chicken and waffles.
Maybe.
You racist prick.
Oh yeah, because he cooks chicken, that means that it's racist, right?
Well, y'all say we love chicken, and that's true. We
Dude,
do love
every week
chicken.
I cook up a big crock pot full of chickens.
Well, I haven't been invited yet. I hear the beans and eggs you cook every day. What all did I miss?
Talking about Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, how I didn't know that Adrian Peterson was black, and I had made the point that, so Ray Rice is black, he's removed from the NFL because he hit his girlfriend at the time, or fiance. They weren't married, but either way,
Beat the hell out of her.
it's a significant other
Well,
that he just
she trying to
punched.
spit at him, so that's a no-no. You don't spit at nobody.
And then I had said, well, Adrian Peterson, I didn't know his name. I was like, well, there was another guy who was beating his kid with a switch, and his ex-wife, wife, girlfriend, baby mama, whoever, reported it and had him arrested. And I said, well, what if a black person, athlete was hitting their kid? And Ryan's like, Adrian Peterson is black. You didn't know that, dumbass? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't know that.
I don't see what the big deal was. Well, see, when we do stuff, we get beaten. It's like, for example, when I used to do stuff, my grandmother, she'd have a golf club, or maybe a extension cord, a switch, or a broom. And that's how we got our whoopings.
Hey, man, personally, I don't have a problem with whipping a damn kid. Hell, I got my ass whipped
especially
plenty
they
of
deserve
times.
it.
The problem, though, was that the way he did it, he was way too damn brutal for some damn 3 or 4 year old kid, though.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
my young little whooping.
Question,
Yeah.
though, how many of y'all have actually seen the pictures of that kid's bruises or whatnot, though?
I haven't seen
from
them.
I haven't seen it.
that. Go ahead right now and look it up.
All right, I'm going to look
Does
it
it
up.
look like, is it like the Passion of Christ with the whips on the back, or,
Even then, you still can't even take that at face value because some people bruise easier than others. I mean, you have to investigate. You can't just be like, oh, he hit him with a stick, put him in jail. No, we have a legal system. There's a justice system for a reason.
If it's 3 or 4 years old, but don't whoop no 3 or 4 year old with a switch. That's what your hands is for.
Yeah, somebody got really bit in if they bruise like that. Like, I know all about that, man. Hell, when I was growing up, my granddad had a damn 2x4 that he wrote Board of Education on that bitch with a black Sharpie. That's what the fuck I got with growing up.
They used to have them when you go to school, if you go to the principal's office, he or she may have a whip on the thing with the marker on it. These days, they don't whip kids.
Hell yeah, shit, I'd get damn paddled at school. Then I'd get my happy ass paddle when I got home. I
Yep.
think that's why I got buns of steel, man. I got whipped so damn much growing up. I could probably stop a damn 50 cal with his ass cheek.
We test this?
Oh, you want some ice cream?
It seems like a YouTube video in the making.
That ice cream might melt my booty, bro.
That's a 50 cal.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
I crave.
Vic can be Bubba, who wants to be Forrest.
My mama told me that ice cream make your butthole canal feel good.
And so the last point I wanted to talk about was, okay, so anyway, there was a sanitation worker that was hired in Sandy Springs to pick up the garbage, and apparently there's an ordinance set in place for 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and he decides to show up at 5 a.m., and because people are all panic-stricken to what's this loud noise, they're calling 911, and essentially, tying up resources that could be better used, all because he's showing up 2 hours early. And I think there are multiple people that have been hired for this position that are doing a similar thing. Fining doesn't work, talking to them doesn't work, so the judge has pretty much decided that anybody that comes through here that is charged with this particular, call it a crime, is going to be immediately sentenced to 30 days jail time. So this guy just started the job, and a few days into it, he's showing up earlier than he needs to be. He's being put in jail for 30 days.
How dare him be an overachiever?
Well, I think the thing is because he's a black guy who's wanting to work hard, and because he's coming into work a little earlier, I don't think it outright says it, but it's like, oh, I'm being victimized because I'm showing up to work early, and that's just not ethical or whatever. But I think the ordinance is something that was written and documented and stated that you are not supposed to come into these neighborhoods earlier than 7 a.m. and no later than 7 p.m. I mean, I can kind of understand if there's maybe a lot of traffic in the area with school school and kids getting ready and leaving in the morning and you want to get done and get out, but rules are rules or whatever. But is it also the communities? They're like, oh, this minority is coming through my community with a garbage truck at 5 in the morning and I need to call the police because I'm afraid.
Well, at least he didn't get shot.
It's an improvement, I'll give you that.
Thank God for that much.
I'll be honest, man. That whole thing with trash guy coming too early and shit. I mean, I read it too, and it pisses me off because it just shows how pussified fucking America's getting. Like, really, bitches, y'all gonna get a guy arrested for waking you up too early? You need to get your motherfucking asses up and go run a couple fucking miles. Bunch of fat lazy slob. Like, just getting fucking aggravated.
Just be happy that he showed up to get your trash, because he didn't have to get it.
Exactly, shit. And you can't bitch that you were late to work that day, because this some bitch done Captain fucking Clock of Time just came up in that bitch early and got you. You're like, oh hell, I'm good to go. And got me up early to eat my fucking waffles and my frittles and shit. I jacked off for the morning. I'm good to damn go.
I'll give it. This is obviously a community that someone in this community is so pissed off about people coming by before 7 a.m. They have put a law in place. Someone is ornery about this. Let's say that person is still there, and they're probably the person who called it in, right? I don't know if any of that's true, but I'm going to make that as an assumption for argument. So it's been reported. The law's on the books. The crime has been reported. The crime is investigated. He is found guilty. Now the question is, what does the judge do? It's within the judge's power to say to not prosecute at all, let him off with a warning, or prosecute all the way up to the full extent of the law. The judge has chosen to automatically prosecute to the full extent of the law for this thing. Me, the issue here was with the judge, not with anyone else.
This is what happened. There comes a day when you got to just grab down and reach down and grab them things that they call balls and get some intestinal fortitude. And the next thing you know, you're going to be like, I don't give a shit if he came early. I said the Lord can come in and wake me at 5 in the morning. At least can't be late for work that day. Can I get an amen? A witness. All I'm saying is,
I need the tambourine.
What pisses me off about the whole situation is, the whole time we were in the Army, we had a saying. And I know I keep reverting back to it, but fuck it, just bear with me. The thing is there is no bitch in my Y chromosome. Did you hear my congregation? I said, there is no bitch. There's no bitch in my Y chromosome. These motherfuckers, they got so much bitch in their chromosome, they tampons is that shit. I'm sorry, brother, but I'm just speaking the truth. I shit about a Honda.
Okay, Cat Williams.
I love all of y'all.
Okay, man. First off,
I can take it back to kind of crappy this law even exists. It's related to disturbing the peace.
Like, I just want to clarify on this one part, though. This law is, on pretty much all parts, useless. It's pretty much a privileged community. That's what this law pretty much means. And I'm sorry, man, but seriously, though, you're going to get pissed off because you got your damn garbage at 5 a.m. instead of 7. Whoop-de fucking shit. I mean, let's be honest, man. In the grand scheme of all things, you can get a goddamn DUI and get out the same day versus getting put in jail for 30 days for picking up trash early.
True.
30 days is quite extensive for working early.
I mean, at least the motherfucker's got a job and he's working, You got these pieces of shit that keep going in and out of jail because they just, they can't get the damn shit right. Because apparently they wake up every morning eating damn can't get right fucking popsicles. And next thing you know, it's like, are you serious? But yet this guy does his job. And lo and behold, oh shit, he came in early. Let's lynch that black feller. Like, are you serious? Bullshit. Straight bullshit.
I haven't seen the article, so I don't know if there's actually any basis in this for racism.
Oh, it's probably
no.
How many people of other races have been picked up for the same crime and not sentenced to 30 days?
I don't know. We don't have that information because they didn't.
Well, you don't have that many white people that are trash man. So I wouldn't say it's a racist thing, but you could say it looks like one.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the theme, right?
All my trash guys are white and Latino.
So yeah.
It happens to be who picks up my trash.
I haven't seen a white trash man since Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen on Men at Work.
I never seen a white trash man.
I have one time.
You looked in the mirror?
Yeah.
Let's relate this to a different law. So there are places all throughout the United States, even in the South and Huntsville and other places that I've seen, where you'll see a little sign that says you're not allowed to cruise here, or you're not allowed to have loud stereos on this street. The second one, especially to me, seems identical in nature to you can't pick up trash before 5 a.m. So is one just and the other one not?
I don't know, but something I thought that was interesting earlier before we got on, I was scrolling through my news feed on Facebook, and one of my buddies posted there's a show called The Morning Joe, and the guest was saying that rappers are to blame for the racist acts in Oklahoma. It's not an accountability issue or the fact that the individuals made bad decisions. It's the fact that rap music is to blame, that because they're subjected to it. It's kind of like the guy who is so rich that he doesn't know right from wrong.
That would be like me petitioning the outlaw spoons because ice cream makes me fat.
There is some validity in what you're saying. It's just ridiculous, man. It's kind of like whenever the school shootings happened, they say, oh, well, the guys in Colorado listen to the wrong kinds of artists, Marilyn Manson, Rammstein, and, various other people, and they play
all
violent.
of it's been proven wrong.
Right, exactly. But they have to do something to take away. There's no way that they could be held accountable. It's somebody else's fault. No, man, that's bullshit, because what you choose to do as an individual is irrelevant to what's going on around you. No matter what your surrounding is, you always have a choice to make a decision of doing something positive, negative, or neutral. If you choose to say...
Not always.
Well, I guess if you live in communist China or North Korea, maybe not.
The study of habit is proving that you always have a choice, but you're not always able to enact that choice. Your psychology will dictate otherwise sometimes.
But the point is, you don't necessarily have to be involved in that. My mom grew up in a very racist household. My grandparents referred to anybody of color as colored people. And even to this day, my one cousin, was saying some stuff when I went to go visit. If you could just listen to the hate that is behind what you're saying, I don't think that that's something that you should really instill in your kids, because then they grow up producing more hate and spewing more hate and perpetuating the hate.
To me, this comes back to, is it intended to be hate or not? And it also comes back to the person who was claiming that rap music is to blame. So if we dissect either of those, if the rap music in question is using nigger or any other things that implicit bad meaning, but it's not intending those derogatory meaning, and people are listening to this and emulating it, also not intending the derogatory meaning. And why is the person who is claiming, knowing full well that none of this is meant to be derogatory, that because someone who has white skin color is using the exact same context, the exact same words, and using the exact same intention, why is it suddenly racist?
Let me ask you a question about that, the intent. If I don't intend to kill somebody, does that make it right or wrong? And I actually do kill, does it make it right or wrong?
It's wrong.
It's not that simple of a question. That's why we have different grades for murder. We have murder, we have manslaughter, we have second-degree murder, third-degree murder, first-degree murder.
So what's the difference in all of them?
Intent is a large factor. Amount of time you had to think about it is a large factor.
But is it still right or wrong?
There's no such thing as universal morality.
But is it still right or wrong?
Doesn't matter.
There is a universal morality.
No, there's
Everybody
not.
has a moral
Anthropologists
standard.
have not found universal morality anywhere.
But everybody still has morals. Whether their moral standards may be different as far as what they think is right or wrong, but everybody still has a moral.
But those morals do not agree universally. That's why we have a democratic system where we come together and agree on what should be legal and what should not. Therefore, we combine our morals into a common framework.
Still, even if, let's say it's manslaughter, okay? Say I drive out, go to the gas station, wind up hitting somebody and killing. Is it right or wrong? Whether I intended to or not, is it right or wrong?
What does it matter if it's right or wrong? I don't think it's either.
It matters.
Right or wrong has no use.
If right or wrong has no use, how do we judge the degree of the murder? How can we punish anybody if right or wrong has no play in that? If the law is set, we can go back to this garbage guy. The law is in the book, and he's not in the wrong. Why punish him?
Morality and legality are two very different subjects.
But if it's not wrong, why make the law?
I think it's one of those where no matter how you slice it, we're not going to really win. It's kind of like somebody that steals to feed their child because they're starving and have no money.
And said, this is wrong, this is the law. So right and wrong still play into everything we do, especially when it comes to making laws and deciding what the punishment is for. Some point in time, a group of people sat down and said, hey, that's wrong. Let's make a law to say that it's wrong and decide what the punishment is for it.
I want to stop you there on the definition of wrong. It is a little bit of a loaded word. So we can't necessarily say they felt it was wrong in the sense of morally wrong, but it is definitely something, behavior they didn't want to occur.
That would mean wrong.
Go with that. I'm saying it's wrong and right, good and bad are very, very loaded words.
I'll agree with you. It's about context, because you can say that guys painting their fingernails is wrong, but why is it wrong? Is it wrong because you think that it shouldn't happen, or are they breaking a law? That's kind of like what you're saying, right? Like you have to define how you're going to use the word wrong.
Yeah,
correct?
You have to define basically the dimensions and the target. Things that are good are things that help you towards your target. Things that are bad are things that take you away from your target. Things are right and wrong. Basically synonyms.
Fair enough. Any last words from you guys about what we covered tonight?
I would say overall that the thing we have to keep in mind is the fact that there are things that we have to change on purpose. We have to make a more well-known stance on certain things to ensure that things like this are not permissible. I mean, I'm sorry, man, but to me, 30 days in jail for picking up trash 2 hours early, there's nothing within that can be counted as an actual worthy punishment.
I would say it is to us, but it is not to the people that lived in that community that put that law together.
That's bullshit.
You can't discount that factor. You cannot impose your views on other people just because you feel like it.
You know what I say about that?
Wait, y'all talking about me?
No, it's just a general.
General statement.
Oh, I was like, damn, who
You have the freedom to try.
I will say this, though. I really do wish that company that does the garbage trucks or whatnot, though, I really do hope that they decide not to use that community for like a month without any notice, just for the fucking hell of it. I would be laughing hysterically.
I would agree.
That'd be the ideal alternative of saying, do you want to try this again?
Like, give that guy a bonus and cancel everybody's trash service in that community.
Well, that's what I was going to say is it is up to the company. It is their choice to whether they want to service that community or not. Where I live at, they literally just swapped company. The company that was here decided they were no longer going to service it, so we got a new company that came in. So at any point in time, they can be like, you know what, we're out. We're not going to service your area anymore. Let another company come in and deal with it. They have the full right to do that. It's under the right to provide services. I forgot the actual name of the law, but it's like if you were going to a gas station, that clerk can at any point in time refuse sell. It's under that same law. You know, if the company says, you know what, hey, we're having too many issues with this, we had a good employee, he was doing his job, we're out. That's their right. Just as it is the same right for the people who live there to say, hey, we don't want you here before X time. It is their right. They live there. They pay their taxes. That's their right.
Vic, Earth to Vic. Okay, Vic forfeits his ability to speak. Jason.
Wow, did he finally find the mute button and can't figure out how to unmute it?
Put yourself in that other person's shoes and just understand the situation, I guess.
This is a racist statement, lynch niggers. This is not a racist statement, nigger, nigger, nigger. If the second one offends you, the problem is with you, not with me.
Sir, you're racist.
So do all of you except Ryan work with Joey?
Me and Joey used to date back in the day.
For about a minute.
For a minute there.
Oh, yeah.
He gives mean head, bro.
I guess that explains him manscaping.
Yeah, he manscapes these nuts.
Don't knock the manscaping.
Hey, it's fair to say that 40% of us are getting action.
Wow,
That's true.
really?
Hey, hate the penis, not the hair, you know what I'm saying? Shit.
All right, so I think
Unless the hair is getting in the way.
Y'all could donate some of y'all hair to Ryan. He may want some.
I think we'll leave on that statement. It's been fun, and now we're out. So that's our show. Hopefully you found us entertaining. If not, send us an email and let us know. Go to www.roundtablephilosophy.com/contact. Fill out the form and give us your feedback. If you'd like, you can follow us on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/roundtablephilosophy. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/RTPhilosophy. Other than that, just check out our site on a weekly basis for new and entertaining podcasts. Thanks so much.